Hello and welcome to the channel. Let's take a look at the results of the Operation Dudula healthcare focus, where they have been ensuring that actual citizens get access to healthcare in South Africa. And we also see a similar activity taking place in KZN under the March in March Community Forum. What are your thoughts on how this is playing out? We see the healthcare services operating peacefully, clean, and even the healthcare professionals are secretly thanking those activists. Let's take a look at those sentiments, but also looking at what Rutendo again said about Operation Dudula's leader, this time focusing on the fact that she is allegedly a mom of two Zimbabwean children, and making sure that people cast doubt on her leadership. But her story is clear. She is for law and order. She is for South African citizens first, and it has nothing to do with hate of any other nation, but it is about putting citizens of South Africa first. What are your thoughts on all of this? Of course, Ramaphosa has continued to turn a blind eye, saying that access for all. But is that realistic? Let's take a look at the sentiments around this effective Operation Healthcare. Take a look.
Reporting live from Eddington Clinic. Listen, March in March is doing God's work. The clinic is empty, clean. The staff, the nurses, they are so friendly. They are happy to be at work because they are not overworked. And South Africans, they are happy. They are enjoying these privileges. That's what wasebenza uJesita with iteam yakhe. Nazo nasebenza guys ngokubambisana. Siyabonga umsebenzi wenu omuhle niwenzayo. We appreciate it. And I feel like we need everybody to join in, guys. We need everyone to join in. We need South Africans to take it upon themselves to make sure that they are fixing this country.
Day 7, day 7. Bonani kunjani? Eklinikini yethu kubetha umoya. Senza spring cleaning, siyasebenza. It's day 7. Bonani akukho umuntu ixesha akukabethi no9. Akunamuntu ekliniki ku empty. Siyabulela abahlali, siyasebenza. Day 7 ku clean eklinikini yethu. Kushaya umoya.
South Africa is the only country in the whole of Africa that offers free healthcare to everyone, including undocumented immigrants. And that's fine. However, if you're going to have a health system that caters to everyone, you need to have a budget for that. And in the event where you do not have a budget, it means you're going to have an underfunded healthcare system. And an underfunded healthcare system will result in overworked staff members, long queues, shortage of medication, lack of maintenance, and then most importantly, a demand for the private sector.
I think you guys know something that we don't know, Angas, especially in a country with like 60% unemployment, and that's the youth, and then 30-something% with the general unemployment stats, the highest in the world. We are number 1 when it comes to unemployment in the world. And you guys saying, Uti, there are people here who have jobs, but they're not here to take jobs from South Africans. So what are they here for? Maybe there's something going on in South Africa's Ngayas, and it would be nice to find out what is it that they're all coming here for. I hear a lot of people benza ama-video la on TikTok bethi like illegal immigrants are not here to steal your jobs, foreigners are not here to steal your jobs. I just want to know, nje, frankly, what are they here for? So you leave your country, you come to South Africa, and you're not here to take a job that would have been allocated to someone else who is a South African. Then you're not here for that. What are you here for?
This is Dudula, the head of Dudula that is closing out foreigners from hospitals. But did you know that she's got 2 kids from a Zimbabwean man? These people are playing games with you. But how do we know this? We know this because we've got women within those institutions. We know who funds them. We know their plans. There is no seriousness about hate for foreigners because they love foreigners. I'll tell you about Kwena shortly.
Because PA ibua language ya rona. Ne? And vele at that time, neba ibua vele language ya rona, and they felt strong. Let's vote with PA. Give PA the powers. And then we went to PA, rabua libona. And you know, we had that agreement. I think the biggest mistake was that we trusted them and we had that gentleman agreement when we sealed this thing to say, you know what, we're voting with you. So with every 10 seats that we get, you give Dudula 1. 5 seats, you give Dudula 1. You get 10 seats, you give Dudula 2. It was an agreement. We were all happy. So people went to go and vote PA
all over
through all ballots after elections. Babalia, they changed. Some of them changed numbers. Rikopani Likeni in a funeral, Bloemfontein, he literally left the funeral Haribona.
Basically, what Zandile is saying is that Patriotic Alliance duped Dudula. Because Dudula is the one that came up with the anti-foreigner strategy, and she believes that this anti-foreigner strategy is the one that won Patriotic Alliance its seats, and then Patriotic Alliance would not give the 1 in 5 seats that it promised. That is nonsense. Because the reason why Gayton Mackenzie and Kenny Kunene got votes and seats, while Dudula, which was focusing on anti-foreigner sentiment, did not get a single seat, is because the strategy used by Gayton and Kenny to get seats was not the hatred of foreigners, because that issue wasn't important to South Africans. They got their seats because they went strategically for the niche of the colored vote that was neglected in South Africa. The reason why Dudula gets 0 seats is because the issue of foreigners was not really important to most level-headed South Africans that take the time to go and vote. In this phone, I got so many nude videos sent by Kwena because she said she preferred Zimbabwean men, she had a Zimbabwean ex-boyfriend, and she wanted to have a thing with me because she preferred Zimbabweans. What is the point I'm making here? The hatred of foreigners is pretense. This is the reason why the biggest anti-foreigner has got 2 kids from a Zimbabwean. But do you think that she has told her comrades that she got 2 kids from a Zimbabwean? And do you think her comrades are stopping her from taking those 2 kids to hospital because they're foreign? Do you realize that a lot of the people who are in Dudula think that their father is somebody else, yet in reality their father is probably a Zimbabwean, Mozambican, or foreigner who came into the country having an affair with their mother? Do you know that a lot of people don't know who their grandfathers are, and those grandfathers were actually foreign? We're one and the same people. This hatred is stupid because the same blood courses in our veins. That is why she's got Zimbabwean children.
You cannot hate Black South Africans over xenophobia more than you hate the elite in your own countries for creating such horrendous conditions that the poorest people in your country have to migrate here, and that you had to leave your country and now you're posted up in London or New York or wherever talking about how pathetic and xenophobic Black South Africans are. And I say this as a Black South African who calls out xenophobia, and you know, I try to talk to my people all the time, but we are here fighting the good fight, and you don't get to talk down on us while you cower in the West. And we have to deal with the problems on the continent. You don't get to do that. I'm sorry. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want, but we're laughing at you. We can't take that seriously. You're a joke. And for some of you, your lives of privilege in the West or even in other African countries are funded directly by the type of corruption that South Africans are trying to fight in our own country. So I can be yelling at our Minister of Home Affairs and our Minister of Health about how they've created such terrible conditions for South Africans that now people are being xenophobic because they feel like there aren't enough resources to go around. You can't do that for the ministers of your country because those are your parents and those are your grandparents. The same elites that we are fighting in these countries in Africa are your parents and your grandparents and your uncles and whoever. So that's why you don't want to criticize the conditions that they manufacture. You can only ever speak about things that are inflicted upon your people when they are being inflicted in other countries.
Well, there you have it. That was thoroughly explained, and that's why I just edited it and with a few edits. What are your thoughts on this approach? The clinics in Gauteng are spick and span. There is law and order, showing that there is actually enough capacity for actual citizens. The problem is when the borders are opened. At the moment, there is an ongoing debate about the South African Constitution and, of course, the responsibility of South Africa to the rest of the nations.
If you are in the country illegally, procedurally speaking, you have no rights, because rights go hand in hand with duties. South Africa in itself as a state has a right to protect its own existence, and that right does not only relate to protecting itself from internal or external threats. Now we must accept that when someone is in a country illegally, they pose an existential threat to that country, because first of all, the Department of Home Affairs, who's responsible for noting the movement of people within the country's borders, does not know you are here. And when you trade and exchange money or take money out of the country, that technically means that you are involved in illicit financial flows, because the FICA Act requires that when a person moves money within the borders of a country and outside, the funding agencies or the agencies that deal with the transfer of money know who you are. You are an illegal migrant. No one knows you're here. Fine. Now, I keep hearing, especially people from outside the country, saying, no, we have a right. Once we are in South Africa, we have a right to healthcare. But that right does not necessarily mean that you have a right to free healthcare. In fact, the right states that you have a right to access to healthcare. There's a section in the Illegal Migration Act that speaks to hospitals checking if you can afford or not afford to pay for healthcare services. So that means that state hospitals, if you do choose to use them, they should ask you to provide proof. Now, last week I watched a video of a Nigerian lady who said she left Nigeria to come to South Africa and have 2 C-sections for free. Now, I feel like our healthcare workers are being put under pressure to just provide healthcare for any and all. There's no such thing in South African law, and if I was a judge following logic, I would judge to say that actually illegal immigrants do not have a right to free healthcare in South Africa.
Let me know what your sentiments are down below. Please give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you on the next video.